What's up, everybody? How are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel and Sonic Frontiers. What a journey it has been to watch this game's story unfold on the internet ever since gameplay and footage was first revealed way back on June 1st. I don't know what it is about this game, but there has been something strange in the air surrounding the hype, if you could say, around Sonic Frontiers, and it's been very curious for me to watch. Essentially, what's happening is this is a game that was revealed just very subtly with a little CG tease thing last year, teasing it as some kind of open world Sonic game, which in and of itself is a very unique, weird sounding idea, but for a lot of us, including me, was certainly very exciting. And then, like I just said, on June 1st, only a couple of months ago, IGN finally debuted two videos showcasing the first ever gameplay and footage and combat for the game, and they were very much showing off the world and what it was like for Sonic to traverse an open world. And the weird thing about it, and I'm sure you know this coming into this video, is that for some reason, when this game was first shown off in those two IGN videos, again back on June 1st and June 3rd, so we're talking, what, 3 or so months ago, everyone has been really down on the game. Everyone said, this looks terrible, this looks boring, the gameplay looks awful, Sonic looks dumb, the game looks bad. Almost everyone was saying that. I would say, you know, I see plenty of conversation about big game reveals out there, obviously with what I do. I would say 90% of the conversation was very negative about the game based off of those first two gameplay videos. And the fact that it was gameplay to me was very exciting because it wasn't just a CG tease that didn't give us an idea of the game. It was the real deal. And so, you know, I'm ballparking here, but if 90% of a conversation is negative, that's basically the whole thing. I, however, watched those video clips and that gameplay, and I myself even tweeted at that time back in June that I think the game looks really good. These are my thoughts. I don't know what everyone is talking about. I don't know what gameplay everyone is seeing that they think it looks bad. I think it looks really good. And that's really the crux of my conversation today, is the fact that for some reason, everyone has been really down on this game. And I'm just one guy with my own opinions and my own thoughts, just like you're the same, you know, you're your own person who feels a way you do about a game or a trailer or whatever you see. But just speaking for myself, I'm somebody who watched that and thought, this looks good, this looks fine, I'm curious, I'm excited, it looks like a fun Sonic game in a big open world. I saw no issues inherently from those first two videos, but everyone thought it looked terrible. And I wanted to talk in this video about why I think it looks good, and always thought it looked good, and why maybe some people thought it looked bad. And part of that has to do with that journey that I referenced in the beginning here of Sonic Frontiers, because as more trailers popped up over the past few months, now suddenly everyone is starting to realize that, hey, this game actually looks good, which I find funny, kind of weird, but at the end of the day, it's a good thing, because if I think the game looks good, it makes me happy to see that other people eventually realized that it also looks pretty good. So right off the bat, I think that we obviously have to acknowledge the fact that people who maybe initially thought the game looked bad and now think the game looks good are obviously just analyzing the content and trailers that were shown to us. So I think it could be fair to say that most people might just feel that the first gameplay snippets, again, revealed on two videos on IGN back in June, that maybe some people just felt that those videos weren't a good showcase for what the game is, and they didn't like how they were packaged. But then we got two more videos that were actually trailers, combining CG story elements and actual gameplay footage, both in Nintendo's partner presentation in July, and then, of course, just this week in Gamescom's opening night live showcase. We saw these two trailers that were packaged a little bit more palatably, and that is where we started to see the turn. The 7-minute just random gameplay segments IGN showed, while they worked for me, clearly just didn't work for most folks. But the packaged and presented trailers combining story and gameplay and music and just that kind of energy that a trailer can contain, that is where everyone started to realize that it might actually be a good game. And I find that interesting. And while that's not how I've seen things, we have to acknowledge that clearly that's what seems to have happened for most people. I guess a lot of you guys out there just didn't like the straight gameplay footage that IGN showed, but you really liked those packaged and presented trailers. That makes a big difference to you guys. I don't share the same sentiment, but at the end of the day, if that's what works for you, then that's what works. And I guess that at least explains why people have been changing their opinion over the past few months. But I'm still going to call it what it is, man. And I do still think that it's funny that people can see just the gameplay of what it's like to experience a game and be negative about it, and then just see a packaged trailer and feel much, much better about it. And I'm sitting here saying, where were you guys day one when I saw the same footage you all did and I thought it looked really great and fun? It's a very weird situation. I find it kind of goofy that people have been kind of back and forth on it, but you know, it is what it is. The trailers are what they are. I think everything has looked great so far. And so now I just want to talk about why I think it looks great. And we can go back to that original gameplay footage that IGN showed us. One video was focused on just running around the world and some of the architecture and the structures you can run up and down and how different elements will, you know, force Sonic to move quickly throughout the world, just like in all games. And then the second one was focused a little bit more on the actual combat of the enemies of the game. And here's the reason I saw that and I was excited from day one, whereas everyone else at that time thought it looked terrible. Because most people's complaints were that the world is big and empty and boring and there's just not a lot happening in it. And that was the complaint. And boy, I just didn't see it that way, because I think what a lot of people I think missed at that time, that I feel I did notice, is that in order to make a game like Sonic the Hedgehog, which is about running really fast for as long as you want to, the only way to take that concept of speed and put it into an open world is to not jam-pack it with stuff that can stop Sonic from running at any given turn. You can't make a world map like Breath of the Wild and then just plop Sonic into it, because there's trees and there's caverns and there's rocks and there's cliffs and there's mountains and there's enemies and there's buildings every 10 feet everywhere you go. When you're just Link running around a world and you want to interact with every little bush or rock or enemy you come across, that's great. It works perfect for a Breath of the Wild or a Skyrim or a Grand Theft Auto or whatever. But when you're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog and you want to run around a big world real fast with as much control as you can possibly have, you need huge, vast, open, empty space. And that's what I saw in this world map from those gameplay snippets from IGN. We saw Sonic standing on top of a building or like a mountain or something, looking out into the world, and the world looked great. It's very pretty. Yes, it reminds us of Breath of the Wild. You can see tons of stuff in the distance that you can go and interact with. You know that you can go all the way there, despite how far away it looks. So it's got that open world element, but then if you were to hop off that cliff and then go run in a direction, yeah, it's not packed with trees and rocks and foliage every 3 feet. It's big open fields of grass and plain, and that's because Sonic needs to be able to run around, you guys. If we go back to the worst examples of Sonic games over the years, especially the 3D ones that we know aren't very good, one of the biggest complaints and the biggest mistakes of those games is that you can't move very fast for very long because there's too much crap in your way. They've never been able to find a good way to allow Sonic to go really fast in these 3D games and 3D environments. Now, some of them have still been very good. Like, I love Sonic Adventure 1, and I love Sonic Generations, and I love Sonic Colors. Like, they've done it well sometimes, but most other games have not been good, as we know. And so I think the problem that they're trying to solve with Sonic Frontiers is a big open world without a lot of crap in it so that Sonic can run around really fast, and I think that's what those first two gameplay snippets showed. Now, the one that focused on actual gameplay and combat, I know that people had issues with that, and I'm a little bit more 50-50 on this one. I still think it overall looked fine, because I don't think Sonic is as much about combat as it is about gameplay and running around and going fast and finding secrets and collecting rings. That's what I think the focus of the game is going to be. But I'll also admit, the combat didn't look extremely engaging. I thought it looked just fine. It didn't look terrible, but I agree it didn't look great either. Sonic combat has always been about jumping and then pressing the jump button again, so he does a spin dash, a targeted spin dash attack, and he bounces off an enemy. And so they're trying to play with that in a 3D space here, and there are puzzles, and they showed someone purposefully fail the puzzle so that they can then go back and do it again the second time to just give you an idea of what it's like to figure out a puzzle. People thought the gameplay was bad because it's like, how could this person be so stupid they didn't know how to solve the puzzle? My interpretation was that that person failed on purpose just to show us an example of what it's like to solve something. That's what I took away from it. And the combat, there's these unique, robotic, weird enemies that stretch and grow and do weird things, and it's that same jump, spin, dash, attack kind of Sonic stuff, and you can do these kind of spin circle things around an enemy that you can then create like energy fields and blow things up. And it's like, yeah, Sonic's not going to be running around with a frickin' machine gun and a bazooka. It's not Halo. It's Sonic. He's a hedgehog that spin dashes at things. That's what Sonic is. So Sonic fans who know that about Sonic, I guess I find it weird that they weren't open enough to try to at least be open to the idea of how this could work in 3D. I think it overall looked fine. And so really, these are just examples of what I've seen from the gameplay stuff on IGN back in June that to me showed a pretty good looking, exciting Sonic game. I liked the graphics, I liked the speed, I liked the running around. The combat was fine, but it, wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't great either. It was just fine. And I just was like, great, I'm going to be able to be Sonic, a character who I love, and run around this pretty open world. And clearly I'll be able to go fast because there's not something, dead stopping me every 10 feet wherever I walk. That was a very exciting prospect. Then we get to the 2 new trailers shown at Nintendo's partner presentation and in opening night live this week. And sure, I'm going to agree, those looked great. They looked better than the gameplay snippets from IGN, absolutely. We're seeing a lot more context, we're seeing CG elements, we're seeing the story, we're seeing better clips of where the gameplay itself gets even crazier and wilder, and you're going faster, and there's loops, and there's things shooting you all over the world, and the environments look varied, and personally, I think the graphics look very pretty. And so when we combine all of this stuff, I think it's 4 videos in total, right? The 2 gameplay stuff from IGN, the 2 trailers from Nintendo's thing and Gamescom this week. I think it all looks great, man. Now, of course, Sonic doesn't have the best track record, especially in 3D. We know this. And because of that, just because I'm excited about the game and have been since day one, and just because more people are starting to feel more excited about it now with these new trailers, that doesn't mean the game is going to be a slam dunk hit. The sad truth is that with such a bad track record, there is a great chance that no matter how good this game looks, it will turn out to be bad or unfun or clunky or unfinished or buggy or whatever. It might be bad, and I'm acknowledging that now, so don't come screaming to me if the game is bad when it releases. All we can do with any game is analyze the pre-release footage and trailers and gameplay. That's what we do with every game that comes out. Whether the game turns out to be a masterpiece like Breath of the Wild, or if it turns out to be bad, like, I don't know, I guess the new Saints Row game is bad, some people say. So, whatever it is, we can only analyze the pre-release stuff. And I think, disregarding the track record, when I just, in a vacuum, look at the gameplay and trailers and footage we've seen of Sonic Frontiers so far, from the first day we saw it, I personally have been on board. I thought it looked great. I'm very excited for this game. They announced it comes out November 8th, the day before God of War Ragnarok, which is, everyone jokes about that kind of, how it's going to get squashed by God of War, and it probably will, but I'm excited for both games, and I'm picking them both up. So I'm open-minded. I love what I've seen. I'm going to play it and give it a fair shot. If the game is bad on its own merits, it's bad, and I'm going to tell everyone that it's bad or that I think it's bad. But I, so far, have faith that it's going to be good. It looks fun and appealing to me, and while it's sad that it took the internet 2 months to realize that the game actually looked pretty good, at the end of the day, I'm just glad that people are kind of coming around to the game and feeling like it actually looks like a fun game. That's what I think about it. What do you think about it? Talk about it below. With that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I will catch you next time on another video. Bye-bye.